Hello backpackers, this is Juan from Juan Backpacks, and I'm here today to talk to you about my loadout for the Sierra Mountains that I'm going to be doing a trip on the Rae Lakes Loop, which for me will be a 51-mile loop because I'm coming in over a different pass than kind of the traditional start point. So it'll add about 10 miles to the trip. I'll do those 51 miles in 4 days. And so one of the days I'll go over 2 passes on the last day to get out of the mountains. And so I'm putting together a kit that weighs just over 11 pounds base weight. I've done a test kit weight with it with food on board, no water. So basically total pack weight and my canister and all those other things that you typically keep out of your base weight, which is really a canister and food. And when I did that loadout, I was right at 16 pounds total pack weight minus water. That's the only thing I was missing. So it's a really light loadout, and I'm going to describe it to you. I will talk first about the pack, sleep system, shelter, and then various other gear like electronics and so forth in my talk. So those are kind of the categories. And without further ado, let's go ahead and drive forward on this. And I'm going to start probably with my worn clothing first, and then we'll move on from there. Let's get it started. All right, let's go ahead and dive into my worn clothing. Again, it's going to be a 4-day trip, July, mid-July to late July in the Sierra. And so my worn clothing is going to kind of reflect what I'm going to expect in terms of weather. I'm going to start with my feet. I'm going to have darn tough socks. And since it's July, we're going to have American flag theme going on. And so we'll be wearing darn tough red, white, and blue socks. On my feet for hiking shoes is going to be my Hoka Speed Goats. I've used the 5s, the 6s, and now these are the 7s. These are actually my favorite shoes so far in the Hokas. Even wide, I wear a wide size, I think a 10.5 wide. Even at wide, I was feeling like my toes were pinched in a little bit, like it was a little bit too pointy on the end of the foot, and they seem to have widened out the toe box a little bit more on their wides. And so I'm really digging this, and I don't feel like I'm wearing like these pointy shoes and having my pinky toe crushed in. And so I like it. I've got probably 60 miles on these trail running because I do trail run to train for, like I do it trail run year round to train for my hikes. And because typically I'm doing pretty long hikes, you know, at each clip. And so I'm really digging these. And so we'll see how they go on the trail, but I think they'll be just fine. Underwear, just basically a sports boxer brief, stretchy material. Shorts, I'm gonna wear Outdoor Vitals. I think these are the Highline shorts, hiking shorts, really nice. They're stretchy. They are really comfortable to wear. I use the ones without the liner in them. They sell them 2 pairs, one with liner, one without. Because I wear boxers, I go without the liner, and obviously there are some people that don't wear boxers and they just have the liner inside. That's perfectly fine. That's what you like to do, but it's not what I like to do. So those are my shorts. And then on my top half, right, I'm going to use another Outdoor Vital product. It's a Ultralight. It's considered their light merino wool. I think, again, this is like the Highline shirt or Skyline short, merino wool short sleeve shirt. And so I find this to be extremely comfortable. It wicks really well. It's not too super hot to wear on hot days. And so I'm going to do this. I do have something that I'm using for sleeping that could change out if this gets to be too warm. But we'll get to that when I do my pack clothing, which is doubling as sleep clothing too. Red, white, and blue buff. Again, sticking with the 4th of July and July theme. Gonna wear my red, white, and blue buff out there to protect my neck from the sun, keep the sweat off me. And on my head, I'm gonna change up a little bit. I usually use a Sunrunner hat, and I've been using this hat. It's a broad build, kind of flat bill hat. I kind of like that because it keeps the sun out of my eyes a little bit better. This one's a little bit kind of not waterproof, but it's water repellent, so the water beads off of it. Got a nice little patch I've sewn on there. And underneath the hat, when the sun's really out, again, Sierra, definitely. Like I said, I use a Sunrunner hat. I feel like in the Sierra, you've got to have something that covers your ears and your neck and so forth, or use a lot of sunscreen, which I do both. And so I'll use this bandana underneath the hat to hang down over my ears and over the back of my neck. And that will be my worn clothing for the trip. Let's go ahead and move on to the pack, which is right behind me. Let's look at the pack. All right, it's pack time. And here it is. It's been sitting here the whole time I've been talking. So you've probably been looking over there and being like, what's that? What's that? What's that? This is the pack I'm going to use. I've had this pack for, I think, a year or so now. It's a Z-Packs Nero. It is I think it said 38 liters when I bought it. But now I'm looking on their website and the Nero is a 40-liter pack. And maybe I was reading that. I think internal storage in here is like in the high 20 liters, like 28 liters, something like that. And so I don't know why it looks different now or why I thought it said 38 liters, but it's a 40-liter pack maybe. It's 38-liter pack. I don't know. And all I know is it's 11, just a little bit over 11 ounces the way I've got it, kitted out here. And basically, or not the way I've kitted out. It's 11 ounces for the pack. I do have a couple add-ons that are in my lighter pack link that I have below. And so anything that I talk about here, I definitely have a lighter pack that has all the weights and so forth. And so when I flip it over, you'll see what I've added. I've added an Outdoor Vitals water bottle carrier here. And then I've also got this Z-Packs zipper, kind of waterproof zipper phone carrier / other gear carrier here as well. So I've only got those two things added to it. The rest of it's pretty much out of the box. I do not use a belt with this. It's a frameless pack. It uses this pad for structure. I've done loadouts with it, with all the gear that you're going to see here today, and it carries it extremely well. I'm going to be under 20 pounds for sure, water and food, as I mentioned earlier, and so I shouldn't have an issue with this particular pack. And I'd use this pack on 4-day trips or 5-day trips, I think. If I had to go more days, then I would probably switch out to a different pack just so I could carry the food if I had longer food carries. So that's the Z-Packs 11 plus ounce pack that I'm going to be taking on the trip. All right, let's talk about packed clothing next. How about packed clothing? That sounds like fun. Let's do that. All right, diving into the packed clothing now. Let's take a look. I don't take much packed clothing. It's around 2.5 pounds, I think. Again, check out the lighter pack link and you'll see every single item that I'm taking with me on this Rae Lakes Loop trip in the weights of every single item. Some of them I'll talk about, some of them I won't. So the outerwear stuff, number one, I'm gonna take this Kuiu down jacket. It's a Super Down. Kuiu is a company out of Southern California, and they call this their Super Down Ultra. It's super light. I think this thing is comes in under 10 ounces, and I can't remember the weight, but it's no hood, but I've used it many times in the Sierra over the past 6 years. I've probably got 600 to 800 miles. I have to add it up in the Sierra backpacking, and this comes with me every single trip, no matter what the time of year, because obviously in the mountains, some evenings it does get chilly if a front moves in or something like that. I've seen it get, at the higher elevations when I'm camping or backpacking, I've seen it get down in the 30s at times, just dip down. And so it's always good to have a down jacket when you're in the Sierra, regardless of the time of year. And so I take this Kuiu Super Down with me. The next outerwear thing I've got is this rain jacket. Again, common theme, Outdoor Vitals. I gotta mention this. This is a Tusher rain jacket. I've used this out in the Sierra many times on the East Coast here in the Appalachian Mountains, where it gets very rainy for days at a time. It's never wetted out on me. I used it in the Uinta Highline last year when I did the whole Uinta Highline. It's a great rain jacket. It fits really nice. I've got a couple videos on my website about it, or on the YouTube channel about it. The thing that I like about it is that it has pit zips. And so, for example, when I was in the Uinta Highline just this past year, I could use this rain jacket when the front moved in, and then say the front went away and it got a little bit warmer or whatever, I could zip and then dump heat and then unzip the front, because I could see that there was another front coming in. There was another cloud bank coming in where we're gonna get sleet, rain, and we got a little bit of everything out there. And that rain jacket was instrumental because I didn't keep having to peel it off, put it back on again, peel it off, put it back on again, as long as it didn't get too hot. Especially when you're at high elevation, like 10,000 feet. Most of that trail is like over 10,000 feet. And so, when you have fronts rolling through, it's not gonna get super hot, super warm. It's gonna stay kind of cool. So you keep that rain jacket on, dump your heat, front comes in, it gets cold, zip up, keep that heat in there, and you're good to go. Some other pack clothing that I have that I'll take with me: bug net. In the Sierra, I always take a bug net with me no matter what time of year. It's more prevalent in the spring, early snow melt and so forth, which I think in the Sierra is like June too. So I'll take a head net with me just in case. It's like hardly any weight at all. The kind of sleep clothes I'll wear is, I got this hiking tights from Outdoor Vitals, super light. Again, lighter pack link will show you the weight of this. It's pretty crazy light. And these are, I think, called the Skyline hiking hiking tights. And so I'm going to take that with me. I can use these to sleep in if it gets a little chilly at night, or I can use them to hike in the morning if it does get, if the morning is extremely cold or extremely cold, I'll use these. And then also my mid layer, so to speak, and a sleep top I could use at night if it gets cold is this Kuiu Peloton 97 fleece. This thing has been just a part of my kit for 6 years nonstop. It is so comfortable. It's got this crushed kind of material inside. It's soft against your skin. It's got a tighter weave outer here, which is good for, kind of blocking wind. It's not windbreaker style blocking of wind, but it definitely works because sometimes in the morning in the Sierra, I want to hike in this thing because it's a little bit chilly. And so I'll throw this thing on and I'm hiking. The cool thing is this thing really wicks moisture away from your body big time. I can literally feel, if I feel my shoulders, I can feel the moisture that's wicked out through this material and is just laying on the outside of the material, like kind of evaporating off of it. And so it's excellent for wicking. I can use it as a sleep shirt at night if it gets cold. And then again, I can use it for early morning hiking and then just take it off partway through the day. Sleeping as well, I have the tights, but I like to sleep actually in very big, loose cotton boxers. It's just a way to kind of like, air out your body and just be more comfortable in my quilt. And so I really, just like to sleep in boxers if it's not too cold out. And so I have that with me as well. Adds a little bit of weight, but it's not too bad. Extra pair of sports briefs. Like to switch out underwear every day, rinse out, clean out my underwear, rinse out my underwear, and then hang it. And then, through the next day, I'll have a clean pair for the very next day. Another thing I have here, this is really kind of the sleep shirt, super light. It is a altitude sun hoodie, it's an altitude sun shirt from Outdoor Vitals. This is made of super light material. Again, my lighter pack will have the weight of this thing. It's a long sleeve, and I'm carrying it for two reasons. One, it's just nice to sleep in, the long sleeve, at night, and it just feels good, against my body when I'm sleeping. But also, if the sun gets too intense with my short sleeve, or I just don't like the light merino wool that I have on, I'll switch to this. So this is kind of a luxury thing, so to speak, because I don't really absolutely need it. The last thing, my pack gear is a little bit different for this time around. I've got a bit of an injury, a knee injury that I sustained just from running a lot. I do a lot of trail running and running per week in order to do the hikes that I do every year. And so I've got to take a knee brace this time around, and I just have that on kind of standby in case I need it. So those are my packed clothes for the trip. It's this clothing kind of a combination works really well. I probably could knock out one of those items like that, the long sleeve sun shirt, if I wanted to, but I do like having some kind of sleep shirt at night, and then if I have to, I'd use it during the day. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the shelter. Let's talk about the shelter. Let's go there. Shelter time. All right, shelter time. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of why I chose this particular shelter. The shelter that I chose is the Gossamer Gear Whisper. It's a shelter that's under 10 ounces with the stuff sack. If I add in the spikes or the stakes that are in here, which are mini groundhogs, and the ground sheet that I need, which I'll show you in a second, it's going to be 15.5 ounces total. This is a trekking pole shelter. It's a shelter that is like a tarp, but it also kind of, in my mind, kind of is almost like a trekking pole single wall tent, because it does have a perimeter around the bottom of bug netting. It does not have a floor though, and that's where my ground sheet comes in. So I'm going to be taking this into the Sierra. The reason I'm using this particular tent is A, I'm going in July. B, I'm going to be at high altitudes at times, but it's not going to be unprotected. for example, when I went to Highline, I knew that I would be camping, even though there are trees available and places available. I knew that the plan we had for each day, the miles, would maybe expose us to kind of open areas. And so I took a Durston the X Dome, because it was a lot more sturdy. And I knew out there gets to be these very, very, very strong winds and strong storms. And so when I'm out in the Sierra in July here on the Rae Lakes Loop, I just don't anticipate that kind of weather. I think that, I'll be able to find good shelter with boulders, around boulders and so forth. And so I'm not really worried about having basically what amounts to a tarp shelter out there. And so that's great. The cool thing about this, though, it's got bug netting. So if the bugs are bad, I have a place to go and I can get away from the bugs. The thing that you need is a floor, and that floor is going to be basically a Tyvek, a Nylaflume ground sheet. This thing weighs like 3.2 ounces. Again, check out my lighter pack load. You'll see that my whole shelter system is less than 16 ounces. And so I use this for the ground. I'm also considering using this inside there as part of the floor. This is about 2.5 ounces. I haven't decided yet whether I take this or not, but this would be basically to help my sleeping pad not get a puncture in it, because it's 1/8 ounce foam. Haven't decided yet. I don't know if that's in my lighter pack or not, but I might add it in. And the shelter sets up with the LT5 trekking poles, specifically from Gossamer Gear. There's a certain configuration of the trekking poles that matches the Gossamer Gear trekking poles. And I have a whole video on my YouTube channel about this, so I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm going to use these trekking poles because of my shelter. So let's go ahead and let's talk about food. Yeah, food and water. Let's do that, food and water. All right, let's talk about food and water. I've got my BV 450 with me. It'll be plenty of room. Bear cans are required in the area of the Sierra where I'm going to be on the Rae Lakes Loop. They also have bear lockers out there, but I don't like to rely on those. And so I'm always going to take a bear can with me when I'm in the Sierra, always. It's a 450 and it can easily haul 4 days of food for me. I've done it many times. I've done 6 days of food jammed in this thing. And so 4 days shouldn't be bad at all. Now, as far as my water filtration and my cook system, water, I'm gonna use a 750 milliliter sports water bottle that I'll buy once I get there. That's in my lighter pack Loadout too. And then a 1 liter smart water bottle to store food. So I'm gonna have close to 2 liters of water storage right there. And then the filter that I'm going to use is the Platypus Quick Draw. I really like it because it's sealed at both ends. It maintains its speed of filtering water better than a lot of the other filters that I've attempted to use and I've tried and used many times. And so I really like the Platypus. It's great. You can also close it up, put it in your foot box if you're getting temperatures below freezing so that your filter isn't damaged in some way. And so I like it a lot for that reason. And then I got a CNOC 2 liter bag. So you can see I've got almost 4 liters of water carry capability. This is for dirty water to then use the filter on top of this and then squeeze it into my clean water bottles. I could also use this for extra storage. I've got the cap on it so I could store 2 liters here. So I literally have close to 4 liters of water storage if I need it. I do not believe I'm gonna need it at all. I'm familiar with probably 50% of that trail because I've done the John Muir Trail and I know there's tons of water on the loop. And so I'm not really worried about that. But it is really nice, honestly, to go down to the water source and pick up the water and just bring it back to camp and have enough storage that you don't have to go back and get more water for some reason. So that's my water filtration. And then my cook kit, pretty simple. I'm using this Tyvek pot pocket by Gossamer Gear. I've got a video where I talk about this. It's a really nice kind of piece of equipment that I love because I repackage all my food and I can rehydrate it inside the freezer bag. I'm using a Totes 550 pot inside of this. You can see here, maybe you can't see here if I can't get this thing out. So there's a 550 milliliter pot inside here. And this stores all my other goodies except for my canister, which you can see the pot pocket has enough room here for the canister on top. So it stores both of those things. I put the canister on top of my pot and I've got this 550 milliliter Toke's pot. Inside here, human gear spoon. It's not a long handled spoon, but it is long enough because I repackage my meals. I don't have to worry about having something that I can really get deep down in. And so I love this because my cold soaking jar also, if I decide to do that, I can fit this literally inside my cold soaking jar because it breaks down really small. Human gear spoon. The cool modification I have on my lid is this little handle right here that takes care of that little triangle thing that flops over all the time. I found it seems like a small thing and there's no real weight penalty on this, but it really works great. And I can still, because of the height of it, I can still put my canister on top of this when I put it in my pot pocket. So it's not restricting my ability to do anything. And so it's great. Inside here, I've got these dragon tooth bases for my canister. This is like 0.4 ounces. I'm taking this because I just like to have more stable canister, and some, on some ground it's uneven and so forth. So it just makes it a lot easier to place my canister. Obviously I'll have a mini Bic in here, and then a lighter load towel, which I wrap my stove here, which is a Crux light stove. And so I really like this stove. The other one I use a lot of times is a one made by MSR. So this is my cook kit. These are all the pieces and all the ways that I carry my food. And look, the spoon fits in there too. So nice to be able to put your spoon inside your pot. And this whole kit is, I think, like 5 ounces or something. Again, you can add up the weights in my, see the weights in my lighter pack, but it's super light kit. Again, I can always switch up and dry soak, or dry. I can always cold soak my food. Yeah, dry soak? It doesn't work. You need water, it's not dry soaking. So let's go ahead and dive into miscellaneous gear. No, let's not do that yet. Let's go to electronics. Yeah, electronics. Let's talk about electronics. That'd be good. All right, let's talk about electronics now. I love electronics, and I don't take a ton of stuff with me, but what I take really does have a purpose. And there's one like extra piece of gear in my electronics kit. Again, you can see this in my lighter pack link, and see the weights of everything individually. First thing is I carry all my electronics in this little bag by Outdoor Vitals. It is seam sealed and taped. It's got a water resistant zipper on it, and that way I don't have to worry about putting it inside my pack in the Nylaflume thing that I put my sleeping bag in and so forth. And so really, I really love this thing. Also, when I'm in camp, quite honestly, I can lay this next to my head when I want to recharge things, unzip this, and I can access like all my battery and stuff like that just laying there, and it doesn't get scattered around, and I can like charge things right in the bag is what I typically do. So let's take a peek in here and see what's in there. So inside this bag, number one, safety first. Got InReach Mini 2. I don't really use it for navigation. I use it more for communication and obviously for an SOS device. And everybody's pretty familiar with these things these days. I actually do something really different with mine. I actually put a locking carabiner on it, and it's a super light locking carabiner I got cheap off of Amazon. And what it does, it's got this little lock you can screw, and then boom, you can see it doesn't go. And then if you run the barrel thing down, it opens up, and then you just put it up to the top again, and it locks on. That way you don't accidentally lose your InReach Mini. And I've heard of people doing that. That's why I got that. I used the classic NU25 by Nikkor. I like this one. I have the newest version of it, and quite honestly, I don't like it because there are too many light options. All I need is the red light, and I need a white light. And I need to have a button for each one, which this has. And I know that I can cycle through different like brightnesses of each one of those. And that's really all I need in this world. So there we go. The thing that is cool about this, it does have the C recharger, which means now I'm down to only C recharging on the trail. And so boom, I don't have to worry about it too much. The other electronic device I have in here is my Zero pump. I love this Zero pump. It's actually less than the pump sacks that come with sleeping pads, and so I don't mind throwing it in there. And so that's another thing. I'll charge it before I leave, and for a 4-day trip, it'll be way more than enough charge to do a 4-day trip, so I'll never have to think about it again. The same way with my headlamp and my InReach, I won't need to worry about recharging either one of those the whole time I'm out there. To recharge, I am going to take a Nicor 10,000 milliamp battery. It's the carbon light one. I think this is a Gen 2 one. It's got the yellow thing, so I think that was Gen 2. I've got a little holder on here that holds my cables, and I got really short cables, which is fine on the trail. And I've got two C cables in here. One that's C to, two C ends, and one that has USB and C. So you can see here, I've got a USB and I've got a C. So I can literally charge two things at the same, or two items at the same time when I'm in camp if I need to. And so basically this is all I need, for a day on the, for 4 days on the trail. Should be enough battery. The only thing I'm anticipating needing to recharge is my phone, because I'm going to be filming on my phone. I'm going to be using Onyx maps that I've worked out ahead of time for each day, and use that on my phone for navigation. And so this is my charging battery. Also going to be taking this Govee temperature gauge, taking this and just experimenting with it. It is less than an ounce, so it's not a big hit in weight, so I'm going to take it with me. I'll hang it off my pack maybe, leave it outside during the night to see how cold it gets. And what it does is it feeds into an app on my phone, and basically I can see like the coldest point in my trip and all kinds of things about the temperature, which also helps me kind of assess my gear choices and my clothing choices. And so I always think it's good to monitor weather, especially when it costs you less than an ounce. The last electronics piece I'm going to show you is my watch. It's a Sunto vertical, and this one is the solar one. It doesn't recharge by solar. A lot of folks think that means recharging. All it does is it slows down or reduces significantly, I'd say significantly, the need to recharge, and reduces the amount of battery it actually uses when it's using a lot of sunlight. And in Sierra, got a lot of open territory, going to be wearing short sleeves, so this thing's going to be exposed to the sun a lot. So I anticipate that I will be able to do the whole trip with just one charge on this. I've gone literally weeks, and using it for running, like on my running days during the week, I've gone like 3 weeks without charging it just as a test. So I can go almost a full month while I'm using it to track my training too. So I've used this it went to Highline. What I do is I'll take my Onyx maps, I'll unload every day, like day by day on here. So I've got a different map for each day. And then I can just basically map every day on my watch. It makes it a lot easier, because then I don't have to keep going to my phone. I literally can turn on the map here and just keep it on and keep monitoring where I'm at. And I can just look at my watch if I feel like I'm off track. And then you went to Highline. There were many parts of the trail, honestly, that were not good track, right? It wasn't like you just didn't see where people go, because they kind of spread out in certain areas and everybody's kind of heading in the right direction, but doing it in a different way. A lot of spots about like that. And so this came in handy, because I could always look at this and say, hey, am I heading in the right direction? Am I close where the established trail is supposed to be? And I could always see that. And it zooms out too, so that if I got far off trail, which happened a couple times, I was pretty far off, it wasn't showing here, I could zoom out, find the trail, the direction to get to the trail, and go back over and make sure that I'm on track. So the day by day is really nice to have in this watch. And I just turn it on and look at my watch once in a while to make sure I'm on track. The Rae Lakes Loop, well-established trails, signage, don't anticipate any issues with that, but it's always fun just to track your days and see your mileage and your speed and those kind of things. So that's my electronics. Let's talk about sleep system. Let's talk about sleep system. Then the last thing will just be a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. So let's talk about sleep system. Yeah. All right, sleep system. Hammock gear, quilt. This thing I have had since, I've had it 7 years now, 8 years probably. It's a 20-degree hammock gear burrow economy, or economy burrow. I bought it way a long time ago. I think it's like 22 ounces, something like that. And it's kept me warm in Sierra. It's the one, it's a 20-degree. This is the one that every time I go to the Sierra that I take. I've got another 40-degree that I take like in the summer here in the Appalachian Mountains. But this is my let's go to the Sierra quilt. And so I'm not gonna pull it out. You guys know what a quilt looks like. This one's orange. I love the orange color. So got the quilt right there. As far as the sleeping pad goes, for my sleep system, look at this thing. This is like a can of Pepsi. a can of pop or soda, depends on what part of the country you come from. This thing weighs 7.9 ounces. What is it? It's a Nemo, I think they call it their Nemo Elite. And this is a mummy, and it's the short version. That's why it's 7.9 ounces. It's very thick. You can check out the website. I'll do a review of this when I get back from the Rae Lakes Loop, just to give you my impressions of it, because I haven't really used it enough to have a strong impression about how it works. I'm anticipating it's going to be just fine, and we'll see. I might take it on a night trip or something like that before I leave. But anyway, this is a Nemo, 7.9 ounces, very small, compact, 2.7, I think, or 2.5 or 2.7 R value. So it's not a winter kind of thing, but I do have a 20-degree quilt. And I do know that, yes, if it gets cold, this might be an issue, but I've been in the Sierra many times during July. I don't anticipate 2.7 is going to be a huge issue. I am not sleeping like way above tree line, and I've done that in the Sierra. And I think if I was doing that, I would take a different sleeping pad with me. But for the places that I'm planning to be, for the 6,000, 7,000, 9,000, 10,000 feet, where I might be camping at different times, this is going to be the sleeping pad that's going to get the job done. The other thing I do is I have this Outdoor Vitals pillow, and it's a 2.5. It's your basic pillow. And that is pretty much a sleep system. I do have one more thing though. The camp shoes. I forgot to mention this in my packed clothing, so I'll mention them now. These things are the Jimmies. I had so many commercials of these things coming up, and I ordered them. They're less than 6 ounces, like for both of them combined is like just over 5 ounces. And so I did want to give them a try. I have a pair of the Z-Pack camp shoes. They're literally around 2 ounces for both. And I love those things. I use them many times. I use them on the Highline. But one of the things I want to do on this trip, because there's so many creeks and so forth that I'll be camping near, is do some fishing. And I don't necessarily want to wear my trail runners when I'm fishing. I'd love to be able to just kind of like walk around the bank of the creek and do some casting, some fishing. And so I think these are sturdy enough because they've got these straps to lock your foot in a lot better. The Z-Packs, I wouldn't be walking around the creeks and all that stuff with them. And so these are better for that. So I'm going to be testing these out. But I've walked around in them and wore them around the house, wore them outside to do some things, and they're really nice. And I think they're gonna do just fine. So that is my sleep system with the bonus of the Jimmies. What's next? Oh, let's talk about my fishing gear, and then we'll do the miscellaneous last. Let's talk about fishing gear, then we'll do the miscellaneous. How about that? Fishing gear coming right up. All right, fishing gear, here we go. Dragon Tail. One of my favorite Tenkara fly rod companies. I'm going to be taking this Tenkara rod. It is a mini. I don't even remember the name of this, but it's something mini. And I'm not going to take this tube with me, but I will take, that got away from me. I will take this sock to protect it from the dirt and so forth. And then this will go in the front pocket of my pack, so it's ready to go anytime I want to fish. This rod is a Tenkara rod, which is a Japanese style of fly fishing. It uses a telescoping rod. This happens to be, I think, a 12-foot rod when it's telescoped out. And then you use a single piece of line off the tip of the rod. There's a special lilian, it's called, to attach that line to. So you're literally using like about a 10 to 12-foot line that you're just casting without a reel. You just like a fly line, right? And so you'll attach the fly then to the end of that to catch fish. I've used these types of rods in the Sierra and in the Uinta Highline many times. I've caught many trout in the backcountry on this, especially in the Sierra on this kind of setup. This is 3.3 ounces. Again, my lighter pack has the fishing gear in there, 3.3 ounces. My fishing gear is around 7 ounces total. And I catch tons of fish every time I go to the Sierra on it. So that's the rod. Now this is my gear kit for fly fishing out in the Sierra. You can see here, it's super light. It's just like an X-Pack kind of thing. I think, Backcountry Exposure made this. And so you just put it around the neck. It's got a zipper on it. Let's see what's inside here really quick, just so you know what I take in the Sierra with me. I was a fishing guide for many years, like around 15 years. So I'm pretty good about putting together a kit that kind of works, but is minimalistic. And so I've got this little tiny box. It's got 4 different compartments in it, and I've got different types of flies in there. I've got foam flies that float on top, got some dry flies, again, that float on top. got some imitations of ants. I've got some tenkara flies in there. I've also got some nymphs in there that sink under the surface. So I've got lots of opportunities to catch fish, and these flies should be more than enough to catch tons and tons and tons of trout out in the Sierra in those little creeks. Love the creeks in the Sierra. The other thing I take with me are these little cards that, again, are super light. What I do is you've got to have, this is the line. You can see the line because it's orange. This is the kind of fly line. It's a braided line, basically, and that attaches to the end of the tenkara rod. But you still need some clear line to attach to that. And so I have another spool here. These cards are super light. They're made of that light credit card material almost. And so I've got some monofilament, clear monofilament to attach to the end of that. And then you do like a couple feet of that and then the fly so that you don't have a visible line to the fly. And then I also have another extra piece of fly line here to attach to the rod. And that's just a little bit longer line in case I need it. I think that's like 13 feet, something like that. The other tools that I have in here, it's pretty simple. I have some floating for the dry flies to help them stay waterproof longer and float longer so I don't get frustrated because they're sinking. And then if they do sink, you take them, honestly, and you press them again. I press them against my clothing to squish out the water out of the feathers or the hair that's in the dry fly. And then I put it in this thing and shake it up. It's basically a like kind of a shake and float, they call it, and it pulls the water out of the fly. And so basically I take that with me. Again, it's a little bit of waste of weight, but I'll take it because it'll make my fishing a lot easier and less frustrating because I don't like dry flies that sink. And then a little tool that I use here in the Sierra, it's a little pair of forceps, and that's if a fish gets a hook a little bit deeper and down in their mouth or throat. I don't have to kill that fish by sticking my fingers down in there and trying to get it out. I just take this and surgically go down, find the direction the hook went in, push it out the direction it went in, and I pull it out and the fish is good to go and swim it away to fight another day. And then I also got to have a way to cut your lines to your teeth. And so I take these clippers with me. It's just a basically fishing pair of clippers. It's almost like a toenail clipper thing. And then it even has a little punch for the end in case a hook eye doesn't, has some glue in it or something like that. And so that is my kit. This kit, I think, is just over 3 ounces. And so the theme is like the rod, the kit are about 3 point something ounces a piece. And that gives me less than, around 7 ounces for a total fishing kit, which isn't bad at all, to say the least. All right, so that's the end of the fishing stuff. Let's go to the miscellaneous gear. Last thing on my list. Miscellaneous gear, here we go. All right, miscellaneous gear. Well, why not start miscellaneous gear with the most interesting thing, the poop kit. All right, this poop kit is super light. I believe it's around 1 ounce. I use a Dyneema bag here that's specifically designed for like shovels and stuff like that by that company. I can't remember what the company is. I've got my deuce of spades in here. And then inside of this, I've got some very simple things. I've got a bottle cap bidet, basically. And I've got a very small eyedropper. There's like a tiny dropper of Dr. Bronner soap to clean up with. And then I also have a collapsible, I want to say it's about 8 ounces of water, something like that, a collapsible water bottle that I can put the bidet on top of, put water in the bidet in the bottle, put the bidet on top of it, and it just makes it so I don't have to use my regular water bottles. There's something kind of weird about that, although honestly, I have done that and I don't think it's an issue because obviously the bottle is just holding the water. It's not doing anything. So anyway, that's my poop kit for miscellaneous gear. Next thing I'll talk about is kind of some other doodads here. You can see that I've repackaged a lot of these into dropper bottles. I use red anytime it's something you can't eat. And then I use green if it's something that's edible in a bottle. Basically, I've got some stick sunscreen here. It's like 50 FPS. I've got some repackaged hand sanitizer. Again, we're talking about a 4-day trip here, and so I don't need much. And then some Garden bug repellent here as well. Again, 4 days, I don't need much because you're not like, taking a shower every night and having to reapply it again. And this stuff does like last for a while once you put it on. And so those are the 3 things. Again, if I was on a longer trip, which I have done with these, you have resupplies at 4 or 5 days apart. I mean, you can just fill these up. You know what I mean? You can fill them up, and if you don't want to waste, you can ship the stuff back to your home or give it away or put it in a hiker box. Sometimes I'll just buy stuff, refill my thing, and then put stuff in a hiker box for somebody else. And so refilling is the way to go. This is my kind of my self hygiene kit and my first aid kit, repair kit. So I've got patches in here for my sleeping pad, got a small knife in here. Oh man, red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue flag there. I've got a beard. This is my one thing that's kind of luxury, my beard brush. And it'll be a hairbrush and beard brush. It's like less than an ounce. I bought off Amazon, super light. There's a lighter load towel in here. It's my toothpaste, my toothbrush. I cut down my toothbrush only so it fits in there better, not because I'm not trying to cut weight. It's a bamboo toothbrush. And then I've got some first aid stuff in there too. So that's my miscellaneous kit. Again, if you want to see how much this stuff weighs, just go to my later pack. Well, that's all my gear for the Rae Lakes and the Sierra, Rae Lakes Loop in the Sierra. I've been in the Sierra many times. I'm really confident in this gear choice. I got really most of the stuff I've used before in the Sierra, and some of it is new, but again, I feel like it's gonna work out. And I'll do a review of the gear when I get back and go through it all again and maybe talk about some of the things some of the gear that I took with me that didn't work out or didn't work as well as I thought it would work, if that happens. I mean, if that happens. And so that's my gear. Until next time, backpackers, get out there, do some backpacking, do some hiking, stop watching YouTube videos. Unless they're mine, then watch them all from start to finish. Later, backpackers.